Good evening. Welcome to Iowa Central Community College in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Let's give a big round of applause for our Hall of Fame inductees this evening to start it off. Before we begin, and this is my third year, and I do have to say, you know, there are some special dates in my heart that I truly, truly love. You know, obviously I have to say my wedding day, because it was the best sales job that I've ever had in my life to my beautiful wife. Yes, another one would be graduation, because that's why we're here and that's why we exist. And the first day of school is a close third, because everyone's happy on the first day of school. But this is right there with those, because at Iowa Central, there are oftentimes what we don't do well is to just take a moment and to appreciate and celebrate all of the great things that we do here. For those of you who haven't been on campus, campus looks a little different than it did 10, 15, 20 years ago. And there's a reason for that. It's because we're being progressive, we care about our students, and we continue to be the premier community college of choice in the state of Iowa. So as long, thank you. And that status wouldn't happen without the great alumni and great supporters that we have, and that's part of why we're celebrating tonight. But within my third year, so some things that I do during this, some of you will think that it's a mini roast, and it is. So to begin with, we have a birthday in the house tonight. Jim Kirsten, stand up, Jim. So I told Jim happy birthday before, and I told him, Jim, you don't look a day over 65, congratulations. And then he let me know that it's actually his 63rd birthday, and I felt bad. So to make it up, which doesn't happen often, to make it up, we have a cake for Jim tonight. Where's the cake? Bring it on out. Oh, well, I guess nobody cares about Jim's birthday. Kidding, the cake will be on its way, but let's give Jim another round of applause. Happy birthday, Jim. Appreciate you. Oh, there he, oh! Just a delayed response. Come across. Come on, ladies. Let's give Great Western a round of applause. It's a golf cake, and they don't know Jim's not very good at golf, but he'll enjoy the cake either way. On a serious note, we do have some people to recognize this evening. First things first, Jenny Dutcher, if you could stand up. Jennifer Dutcher, excuse me. Jennifer Dutcher. One of the auction items is the beautiful painting of campus. That was in my office for the last 3 years. That's on the auction tonight. Jennifer Dutcher has always done our beautiful artwork. She's done the new artwork for all of our certificates tonight. But that's not why I'm recognizing her tonight. Tonight, she doesn't know this yet, but Mrs. Dutcher was selected as our 2023 Outstanding Faculty Member. To be submitted to Community Colleges for Iowa. And if you think I had a tough sales job in my marriage, you should meet her husband. Next up, Dr. Menzer, please stand up. Dr. Menzer was selected as the Outstanding Staff Member for Community College of Iowa. Please give her a round of applause. Dr. Menzer is our Vice President of Academics, and she has done a phenomenal job during her time at Iowa Central, leading us through the pandemic, and is spearheaded in a year from now. We'll be launching 5 new academic programs, including pre-veterinarian, ultrasound tech, plumbing, 3D technology, as well as cosmetology. So, and that is all due to her diligence in the academic area. So, again, let's recognize Dr. Menzer. Thank you. She was not able to be here tonight, but obviously athletics is a huge part of Iowa Central and what we do here. And last week, Sarah Horn, our head volleyball coach, earned her 300th win at Iowa Central. So she's not be able to be here tonight, but let's give her a big round of applause. It's my pleasure to MC tonight, and we're going to keep things moving, but again, there are silent auctions going on. We did something new this year where we have bars on two sides to kind of condense some things. Again, this is not a freebie, this is a charity, so open up those wallets to help our children with our foundation. And I'm going to take a point of personal privilege. There is one item on this side that is a dinner hosted by my wife and I. And this has been a wonderful thing that we do every year, and what I say is it's a progressive dinner. From the standpoint of the more that you pay, the better the food, and the more people that you get to bring. Okay? So right now it's at $400, which equates to hot dogs and 4 people. Congratulations, thank you for your generosity. Now there are some folks in the room who have bought this in the past. Northwest Bank and Matt Dutcher. He said he was going to tell people that it was terrible, but I witnessed his gluttony last year, and I think it looked like it went fairly well. So, but that is one of the many auction items that we have. Please make sure to be generous, and I'll keep you posted on that. For also, just in case you're wondering, Iowa is up 7-0 in the middle of the third quarter. Okay? The Big Ten did not collaborate with us. They did not recognize that tonight was our Hall of Fame evening before they shifted it to the 3 o'clock. So again, we apologize for that. Now to why we're really here. Iowa Central, our purpose is very, very simple. We want people to come to Iowa Central. We want them to finish their degrees and certifications in the shortest amount of time possible with the least amount of student loan debt so that they can go on and have a better life. What we know is 80% of our students who come to Iowa Central have financial need. And of the students who also come to Iowa Central, 30% of those students are also first generational students, just like I was in 2000 when I came to Iowa Central. We do something special here because we're large enough. We're now the 5th largest community college in the state of Iowa. We're large enough to be able to offer all of the programs that our students in our region need. But we're still small enough to know every single one of our students and care about them. And tonight is certainly a highlight of that caringness when we bring up our teams, when we bring up the authors who have gone on from Iowa Central and have done tremendous things, who have made a difference in the world of healthcare. All of these people coming from Iowa Central hold a special place in our heart. And tonight also, we will be recognizing through our humanitarian award, which by note, this is only the 2nd humanitarian award ever provided by Iowa Central to one of the longest generationally affected generosity from a family, Don and Diane Decker, who by far, if you look across, has been the most generous donors to Iowa Central that we've ever had. We are honored this evening to recognize them specifically and their family as longtime supporters of Iowa Central. So, I'm going to introduce, let's give a round of applause to not only Teresa Jackson, but to Coach Kevin Twait for their introductions this evening. Let's give them a big round of applause. And please help me welcome to the stage Teresa Jackson.
I inducted him into the Hall of Fame not too many years ago, which was pretty darn exciting as well. Tim Hanneman has traveled far since he first walked this campus back in the late 70s. His educational and professional journey took him from the small towns in Iowa to the shores and skies of California. He served as president of the San Fernando Valley chapter of the National Management Association and led his team to national awards on 2 separate occasions. Tim also became a nationally recognized member of the engineering profession and served with the American Institute for Astronautics and Aeronautics. He is one of only 350 AIAA fellows worldwide and his name was featured in Who's Who in Science and Engineering. Eldon Rosso, a former co-worker, holds Tim in high esteem. In his letter of recommendation, he writes, "I was a new graduate engineer with my first full-time job, and Tim was a super draftsman who always produced excellent plans. Even though our career paths diverged, I am honored to call such an honest, trustworthy, forthright individual my friend." Dr. Bailey Adams, now an advanced instructor at Iowa State, was also impressed early on with Tim when their career paths intersected. Dr. Adams shared that Tim has an extensive record in positively impacting the aerospace and agricultural machinery industries between various career and service roles. Tim even dedicated his time to consistently train young engineers, which was not directly part of his position responsibilities as senior specification analyst with Navy Manufacturing. His positive contributions helped better connect the engineering design and the manufacturing groups when new design changes were implemented, which resulted in more streamlined processes and increased efficiency on the assembly line. Still, as Harriet Adams shared, while Tim moved up the career ladder in engineering and achieved outstanding successes, he never forgot his roots and forever remains an ardent supporter of education. It was only after Tim's retirement from Boeing and his return to his hometown that she had the honor of getting to know him. She writes, "I will let his resume speak to his stellar career and will focus on his priority to education and his service to others. Awareness and promotion of the power of education has long been part of Tim Hanneman's nature, even before the concept of STEM was conceived, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Tim was recognized the need to provide students with engineering awareness. He served as an engineering role model and promoted the concept of lifelong learning and exploration. He even has served as a guest lecturer at Iowa State's Agricultural and Biosystems Engineering Department this last spring. Sharing with others has also occurred beyond the halls of educational institutions. Tim is passionate about music and continually shares his vocal talents with his church and his community. He willingly gives of his time not only in performances, but behind the scenes as well. His steady guidance, superb organizational skills, and tireless efforts ensure that all the details are addressed and that they result in efficient practices and marvelous performances. And now that I have met Tim, I'm going to ask him to enroll in a class here, and he could actually audition for the role of Belle's father in our upcoming production of Beauty and the Beast. So we'll talk a little bit more later. Notice I'm not asking Dr. Ulrich to do the same. Harriet Adams closed her recommendation with this phrase: "I would describe Tim as a consummate professional, an eloquent speaker, a gifted singer, and a hard worker." This is in addition to being an individual who goes above and beyond with his willingness to share with others. With this remarkable career and interest in education, Tim Hanneman would be an exceptional recipient of this award. Harriet, we couldn't agree more. Please welcome into the Iowa Central Hall of Fame our esteemed alumnus, Tim Hanneman.
Just a quick word. One of the things that I am most proud of is the fact that I was not only a student here at Iowa Central, but I also spent 3 years on the faculty teaching mechanical drafting. And if it were not for the networking success that I had in placing students all over the state of Iowa, I would have never, ever gotten the opportunity to move on back into industry and ultimately hold the title of manager of configuration and data management for the International Space Station. I can't emphasize enough how important it is for you all to be aware of the fact that on any given late afternoon or early evening, if the events are correct, you can look up with the naked eye into the southern Iowa skies, and you will see an object that is darting across the sky that is without a doubt the most impressive space-based scientific laboratory that mankind will ever build. It has been flying now since 2000, and we're hoping that it will fly well into the next decade. There have been as I'm told, there have been over 200 people that have helped to manage and fly the station. That group of scientists and engineers will continue to allow us to have a stellar worldwide space laboratory, and it will continue to do amazing things. It is my honor to have been associated with that project, and I will never forget the opportunity that it afforded me. So I want to thank Dr. Ulrich, Mary Ludwig, Teresa Jackson, and the staff here at Iowa Central for not only this wonderful honor, but for allowing my story to be told. So thank you very much.
When our board president, Mark Crimmins, first met Elizabeth Mayworm back in the 70s, even though she was a Dodger and he was a Gale, they became friends. Of the things he remembers most about Liz, beyond her incredible smile and infectious laugh, he said, was thinking, this girl is much smarter than me. Perhaps not a difficult stretch for her, and that she would do something special in life. And Mark Crimmins was prophetic. For Elizabeth Morrell truly did live an exceptional life. Her Dodger journey became a Triton one as she earned her associate's degree in nursing from us on a full scholarship, followed by a stop at the University of Iowa. In 1983, she moved to San Diego, sight unseen, where she began working at Scripps Mercy Hospital and earned her BS in nursing from the University of San Diego. As Tracy Schmoker shared in her recommendation, Liz devoted her life to learning and improving her skills. She practiced for over 40 years as a registered nurse and obtained her master's and then doctorate in nursing practice, propelling her career through managerial and leadership positions in critical care cardiology and stroke care at Scripps Mercy. Liz ended her career as a senior director there and was instrumental in developing and launching programs which made direct improvements to the health and well-being of countless individuals in her community. As Mark shared, though, what was most impressive about Liz was that through all her successes, she kept her zest for life, even when life dealt her such a cruel blow. After receiving her cancer diagnosis, Liz participated as an ovarian cancer patient in the National Forum for a Protocol in Treatment to help health care workers more fully understand ovarian cancer from the patient's perspective. As Tracy also shared, Liz always spent her time and energy on behalf of others. Mark called her a cheerleader on and off the court. Liz didn't just participate in the ovarian cancer walk. She promoted, rallied, and recruited participants and was responsible for bringing in the most donations in support of the walk in San Diego for many years. Tracy ended her nominations with these words: Liz was one of the most impressive people in my life. She exemplified hard work, determination, and an insatiable drive to make a difference throughout her life. She was truly inspirational and a premier personification of excellence. Elizabeth Morel passed away in February of this year, but as her family, which includes 6 siblings, her husband John, sons John and Nicholas, and her daughter-in-law Anna, as they shared in her obituary, Liz will be remembered and loved always by family, friends, colleagues, neighbors, and all those touched by her deep blue eyes and exceptional smile. How fortunate that Iowa Central can claim her as one of our own. Mark closed his comments with this: as board chair of Iowa Central, I have signed my name to many distinguished alumni awards, all very deserving, but signing Liz's was a little more special. Well deserved, my friend. Please join me in celebrating the induction of the distinguished Elizabeth Morel into the Iowa Central Hall of Fame.
My name's John Morel, and I'm Liz's husband. And I want to, on behalf of the family, make a huge thank you to all Liz's friends, her family, and the Iowa Central College leadership team for making this a special day for the Morel family. Liz's life, although much shorter than she deserved, was filled with successes. She had a full life of family love, so many deep friendships, and a lifetime of professional preeminence in the field of nursing. I came into Liz's life after she moved from Iowa to San Diego. We were married for 34 years and have 2 sons, and now a grandson, 2.5 weeks old. Throughout our life together, I observed something special about Liz that I attribute to where she came from. Here, the middle of the vast country, the Midwest. These traits or values or beliefs were just the way Liz got things done, and boy, did she get things done. These virtues, kindness, honesty, efficiency, warm thoughtfulness, all while also being self-reliant and highly confident. These are what I consider to be the strong Midwestern values this part of the world instills in people that grow up here. These virtues also have influence over others. What I mean by this is I already see much of these same traits in my 2 sons, and I expect that they will pass those traits on to my grandchildren. I thank you for this great honor, and I know Liz is very proud to have received it. Thank you.
And now moving to our distinguished faculty, Roger Natty. To shape its destiny, a community must have some sense of its history. To have that sense of history, there must be someone who preserves it and makes it meaningful. In Fort Dodge and Webster County, that person is Roger Natty. For decades, he has been an indispensable source of knowledge. In the simple act of Googling his name, you will find a wealth of information about this place we call home. Roger majored in history and social sciences at the Iowa Teachers College beginning in 1956. He was also among the first group of Peace Corps workers assigned to Liberia, serving there from 1961 to 63. He then taught at North Junior High and came to Iowa Central a few years later. As Dr. Gary Astor shared, I met Roger in 1967 as we were both preparing for this new concept called the community college. We were not in the same department, but back in those days, we were a very small junior college faculty on a very small campus. And since we were adding the community element of instruction with a number of vocational programs, as well as an expanded adult education division, we would be expected to be part of the communities we serve. Well, Roger embraced that concept. He was anxious to see that his classes were not only high-quality instruction, but that the subject was meaningful to students. He wanted them to grasp that our area was not just a frontier village with a fort and some mining, farming, and rural businesses. He wanted the students to be aware of the events, and especially the people who settled and helped develop our area. And Roger Natty did just that. As Scott Johnson shared in his nomination, one of the basic tenets of a good teacher is to instill in his or her students the desire to keep learning throughout the experience of life, not just in the classroom. Not only did Roger do that, but he kept that principle alive in himself, constantly searching and researching, trying to know more, to discover more. And as Dr. Astor pointed out, this took hours of research. Plus, we must remember, this is way before Google and the internet. This was hard research of library hours, reading old, dusty journals, microfiche, interviewing people, taking handwritten notes, and transferring them to print on a typewriter. I'm having flashbacks right now myself. Anyone else with me? I know you're old enough, Mark. For Roger Natty, history was his profession as well as his passion. As Rita Schmidt, the head of adult services for the Fort Dodge Public Library, wrote, "While I'm aware that Roger was an instructor at Iowa Central for many years, I know him best for his work with the library and the Webster County Historical Society. Roger served as a board member on our foundation and played an active role in helping finance our building campaign and endowment fund. He also developed and maintained the history room at the library. Furthermore, Roger has written more than 24 journals and magazine articles and dozens of books, the most recent about people from Webster County who served in World War II, called Our War, Our Heroes. Another was a general history published in the Images of America series entitled Fort Dodge, 1850 to 1970, A Photo History. Yet another book chronicled the coal mining industry in the county. Throughout the years, various organizations have recognized him for his contributions and achievements, including Governor Kim Reynolds, who awarded Roger a Lifetime Achievement Award, considered the top honor for someone working to preserve our state's history. Roger's knowledge seems limitless. For instance, ask him about movie theaters, and off the top of his head, he can describe all the theaters that once lined Central Avenue on Fort Dodge downtown. He gave a presentation on this once to a packed house one Saturday afternoon. If a historian can cram a room full of people to hear about old theaters, that means he has vast knowledge and a talent for sharing it. And Roger has both. So we are now proud to add to his collection of awards, from the Lions Club Community Service Award to the Iowa Volunteer Hall of Fame Award, we add yet another. Welcome into the Iowa Central Distinguished Faculty Hall of Fame, our revered historian, Roger Natty.
Wow. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this honor. A lot of people, I'm running with a fast crowd. Obviously, not just these people that are honored tonight, but also all those that in previous years received similar honors. I think probably what we often do is overlook when you're talking about volunteering. Sometimes we give the individual like me more credit than maybe we deserve. I think probably what we ought to do is think about opportunities. Because in my volunteering, essentially it was a response to a particular request or a particular need or a particular project, and I was willing to say yes. What I thought I would do tonight is kind of tie my comments with maybe the history, a little history of Iowa Central and its predecessors. Obviously, with my history background, this is a requirement. Iowa Central has deep roots, goes back 101 years old, 101 years. The Fort Dodge Junior College was established 101 years ago, and it continued on all the way up to about 1951. And as a junior college, it was a liberal arts program, essentially an extension of high school. Some people refer to it as the 13th and 14th grade. But we had a lot of people, especially during the Depression, who ended up coming to Fort Dodge Junior College because there were no other alternatives. The college was located in the top floor of the North Junior High, or the old high school, and as such, it was part of the public school system. And that's the way it continued up until the late 50s. Was never very big, 250 enrollment in some of the better years. And it wasn't really until the 1960s that things changed. I came to Fort Dodge in '59, and I remember the junior college, but because it was located no longer at North, but it had moved to the high school. And in the high school, we had the single wing of the high school building. And in addition to that, as enrollment increased, we added things. We had the area elementary school. The public system abandoned it, and so it was turned over to the college. We also used the old bowling alley and a warehouse at Expo Park. There was a warehouse that became our mechanics program. My office in the high school was down in the high school basement. Now, most of you don't know even that the high school had a basement. I think I was one of the two people who did know there was a basement there. And I remember it especially because it often flooded. They had to lay down pallets so I could get to my desk without getting my feet wet. So what you're talking about is, this is before Iowa Central Community College. So when we were going to move out, it was a big deal for us. There's no place to go but up, at least out of the basement. What happened in 1966 was that the state passed a new law, and that law established the community college system. And the whole idea was to put more focus on vocational programs. And most community colleges were primarily liberal arts. We had changed that in Fort Dodge. In 1951, we changed Fort Dodge Junior College to Fort Dodge Community College. And the whole idea behind that was to let us have more vocational programs. And so we headed down a new path even before the passage of that particular law. When we ended up moving out to this area in 1988, 87 and 88. It didn't look like it looked like today. We're talking about a 4-H building over here. We're talking about temporary buildings, and we're talking about an old bowling alley. You know, I'm ancient history here. But my experience in Fort Dodge in the college precedes Iowa Central. And talk about a privilege. Things start out slow, as you might expect. But when we get to the 1980s, we begin to change things. We begin to listen to the public a little more. We wanted to know what the public companies and so on, what do they need? And so you end up with these amazing changes in curriculum. What do we have most recently? Computer constructed houses. Now, you gotta be kidding. We didn't even know what computers were when I started teaching. We expanded in a lot of these new areas with the great emphasis on technology. Finally, we're catching up. One of the major changes I think I see in the college is student services. It's amazing how student services have changed in the last couple of years. More activities, traditional athletic sports, but rugby, the marksmanship, bowling. What are the new programs we've added? What does that do? For the first time, I think we really begin to include members of the student body, really getting them involved. It's an amazing thing. Rugby, you gotta be kidding. So you know, I've seen this whole movement take place. It's been a wonderful experience. Fort Dodge, as a city, Iowa Central as a college, offered me opportunities I would never have had elsewhere. I grew up in a small town, Sibley, Iowa, 2,800 people, and what opportunities in the 50s did a town like that have to offer? It was a wonderful town, good people, good churches, everything you would kind of hope for to raise a family. But what didn't it have? It didn't have the opportunities. What about Iowa Central? The opportunities are here. You know, for the first time, I think the city has really identified with the college. When Iowa Central was first established, the students who were seniors talked about not ICC, but ITSE. I'm going to ITSE. They were being derogatory, to say the least. Couldn't go anyplace else. We'll go to Iowa Central. I think that's changed. I think Iowa Central now is a destination school. People go with the idea that this is really a privilege. With all the projects, the programs, the art, the music, the sports, we aren't second to any school our size. It's an amazing thing, and thank you for allowing me to be part of that. Thank you.
And now for the second Triton Humanitarian Award, Don and Diane Decker. Fred Rogers once said, "We live in a world in which we need to share responsibility. It's easy to say it's not my child, not my community, not my world, not my problem. And then there are those who see the need and respond. I consider those people my heroes." And tonight we do indeed have heroes in our midst. If Iowa Central had to design a superhero logo, the couple would look a lot like Don and Diane Decker. At whatever age you want, but you both look pretty timeless to me. They are part of a family that Roger Natty has undoubtedly encountered in his historical research, for their multi-generational Fort Dodge-based family trucking company began in 1931. And this is a business that grew from the ground up, one that required hard labor, elbow grease, and tireless commitment. And they built that business with integrity, creativity, and phenomenal business acumen. The Decker companies are a lifelong passion project for their family, and their nationwide reputation reflects their brilliance. In fact, Decker Truck Line, Inc. is Fort Dodge's ambassador to travelers on the nation's highways. As Paul Stevens wrote, along the millions of miles of U.S. interstates and roadways, the bright red and gold semi-trailer trucks operated by its drivers make no secret that they're from Fort Dodge. The city's name is emblazoned on the sides of the cabs and the back of the trailers, and people notice. He quoted one of Decker's Kansas-based drivers, Chad Hazelton, as saying, "I see Iowa-plated cars and pickups every week, and most times the passengers will look up, smile, and wave like they know me. I'm sure it's because of the name." And I also love the quote that Paul used from Don about their nationwide success and reputation. He said, "We quietly like to be out there getting the job done." And this is a job that Don has done from an early age. He learned to drive Decker trucks at 17 while at Fort Dodge Senior High, and continued working there while attending Iowa Central. He said, "I would take a load of meat from my BP, deliver it to Raft Packing Company in Waterloo, and return home at 8 in the morning in time to get to class at Iowa Central." Yes, the Deckers just quietly get the job done. And that job goes way beyond building a business. Through the phenomenal success of their Decker companies, they have not only shored up our workforce, but they have also consistently partnered, promoted, and supported our college and our community. They give back. They invest. They take ownership. In fact, Decker Auditorium bears their name because of a substantial gift from Don's parents and them in 2006. And just this summer, Don and Diane contributed another $1 million gift to renovate that auditorium into a modern Center for Performing Arts, which will be opening soon. Can we just share a moment of silence for that last sentence? Especially the opening soon part. Yet beyond these splashes of headlines, Don and Diane also continue to make ripples that quietly make their way to shore. I called Dr. Bob Paxton a few days ago because I know how much he loves them. And here are several quotes he asked me to share tonight. "Both Don and Di are amazing, but chances are that few people realize the depth of Diane's outreach and passion for service. As long as I have known her, Di has put family first. She has been dedicated to both Don's extended family and hers, and she is one of the most insightful, caring people I've ever known. Diane has been the steady voice of support and the guiding anchor in all of the initiatives between the college and the Decker businesses. She invited us into her life, into her home, and into her heart. No one will ever see the time and energy she put into the relationship with the college, from bringing Chef Michael to us from England, to supporting the biodiesel initiative, to passing the bond issue. She has been there every step of the way and has lifted us up. Di speaks so highly of Iowa Central, in fact, that I believe that's why so many of her friends' children attended the college. Iowa Central has been blessed beyond measure by her support. Indeed, each year, the Decker family and Decker Truck Line provide scholarships to Iowa Central students. They played a major role in the start of the Iowa Central Culinary Program. Additionally, they gave a generous gift to help support a new electronic scoreboard in the Hodges Fieldhouse. They matched grant funds to purchase modern equipment for the truck driving program. Also, a significant number of their employees are Iowa Central graduates, and many of their employees' children have or are currently attending Iowa Central. Their waves of support keep the Triton tides in motion along our riverbanks. Yes, I believe that Fred Rogers would have loved, admired, and applauded Don and Diane Decker as we do this evening. It is among my greatest honors to induct them into the Iowa Central Humanitarian Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Teresa, for those kind words. It means a lot to me. And by the way, Iowa State did know about this event this evening, and they had their game at 11 o'clock this morning. And they kicked Cincinnati's ass. I want to say thank you. It's a privilege and an honor to both Diane and I to be recognized this evening, being inducted into the Iowa Central Community College Hall of Fame as a 2023 Triton Humanitarian. I would like to acknowledge and congratulate all the other recipients of the awards this evening. It's a great honor, and I appreciate very much your hard work and dedication to the school as well. Iowa Central Community College has played a big role in my life for over 5 decades. Back when I started to attend Iowa Central Community College, it was known as the Fort Dodge Community College, as Mr. Ned indicated before. I had my first classes in the southeast corner of the high school building. The following year, we came out here in the temporary buildings. The name in 1966, they indicated, was changed to Iowa Central Community College. And I was a graduate in 1968. I've loved the education I got here during that time period. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching Iowa Central expand and grow over the years. I had the pleasure of working with Bob Paxton for years ago in support of various growing efforts in the various departments of truck driving, diesel mechanics, and logistics. Trucking has always been a significant part of my life, going back to my father and my uncle, who started that business in 1931. As a current chairman of the board and past president of the company, we partnered with Iowa Central on many endeavors and various practices, and it was a significant part for so many years. Another fond memory I had was helping the initiative to get the culinary arts program, hospitality management, the turf management program. Chef Michael, as he indicated, we talked him into coming over from England. That was a big sell, to bring him from London, working in a restaurant in downtown London, to come to Fort Dodge. I thank Diane for an awful lot of hard work and convincing to get him to come over here. But he's been here now for 17 years as the head of the culinary arts program. I'm happy to say that that program is still very viable and great running today. Iowa Central has been a strong partner in all the businesses in the community. The collaboration between the businesses and Iowa Central provides us with strong, independent, capable students who become excellent employees and members of society, whether they're accountants, diesel mechanics, chefs, truck drivers, or whatever. In getting to know Dr. Ulrich, I'm encouraged by his passion and excitement for Iowa Central Community College. He is an excellent president, and I wish him the best in his future endeavors. Besides that, he's very, very persuasive in getting money out of people. Giving back and making a difference was instilled into me by my parents, Dale and Donna. They also had a great passion for Iowa Central, as I do. Not only for the education that I received, but for the Iowa Central provides and does for our community. I believe it's an incredible thing that we can accomplish a lot by working together for a common goal of making the community a better place. There would be a hole in our community without Iowa Central Community College being here. We're all rewarded for having them here in this great institution as we go forward. I thank you again for the honor and privilege that you're bestowing on me. But I do want to take 1 minute to introduce my daughter, who happens to be here from Nashville, Tennessee. Ashley. She's been a very good motivator for me and trying to keep me young, because she's got 2 little hunyaks. That one's 1.5, one's 3, and I babysit them today. God, they move around fast. But again, thank you very much for this honor and privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate that. I do have to share one very quick story about my first interaction with Mr. Decker. I was newly appointed president at Iowa Central. They set up a meeting with Don Decker. I went out to Decker Truck Lines. I listened a lot. I came home and my wife said, "Hey, how was your day?" And I said, "Honey, I've never been my ass chewed that much by a donor in my life." And then I said, "But I think he was right." So at the time, the reason I share this story, at the time, Iowa Central was graduating about 50 students with CDLs per year. Listening to Don and his passion for CDL, we came back. We revamped our CDL program, we looked at our curriculum, and I'm proud to say currently we graduate 180 truckers per year through that feedback. And what I can say is, during that very first meeting with Don, I noticed the passion that he has for students and the caring that he has for our community. And putting those together, the difference that he has made for Iowa Central. I can say without a doubt that there is very few, if any, families or individuals, couples, who have made the financial commitments, the passion, and the feedback to our institution to make us what we are today. So again, Don and Diane, I thank you so much for your contributions to Iowa Central. Thank you. Next, we get to eat. So while we are eating, by the way, this is perfect time. You notice the wonderful lady in the back, Mary Ludwig. Please wave your hand, Mary. Let's give Mary a round of applause. Our Vice President of Development. Her and Assistant Jolynn have done a wonderful job organizing tonight. We are going to be dismissing for supper, and Mary will be dismissing tables, so when she comes around, now don't be cheating, we know, okay? Wait for Mary to come around and dismiss your table. In the interim, though, please feel free to grab drinks, bid on those silent auctions. I'm going to go over and see if we're a little above hot dogs yet for the dinner. But please make sure to be generous in those silent auction items and drink. And after the supper, we will be getting to the athletic side. And we'll see, maybe, just maybe, if Coach Twait has found some energy for this evening to introduce those folks. So thank you and enjoy supper. All right, let's go ahead. Couple of things. First off, for those of following current events in the state of Iowa, 3 community college presidents have been dismissed here in this past year. So I tried to make a mental note of, hey, don't do those things, you know, because you kind of like the job. And then as I'm sitting there enjoying our supper, I realized I didn't recognize my bosses who maybe came tonight. So anyway, we have some folks who have dedicated service to both the foundation board and the board of trustees. So I'm going to recognize those who are serving on our Iowa Central Board of Foundation. Please stand up. Specifically, I know we have Zach Clark up here. Please stand up. Let's give Zach a big round of applause. Thank you for your service, Zach. And then we have the Iowa Central Board of Trustees, my 9 bosses, as I'm a humble public servant. We have Mark Crimmins representing the board tonight. Mark, please stand up. 28 years. Thank you, Mark, for your service. Also wanted to recognize, obviously, again, we take great pride in the athletics that we have here on campus. And right now we have 3 different programs that are ranked in the top 10. So first would be our women's soccer program is ranked number 9. Please give them a big round of applause. Our volleyball program, I see Coach Gabby is with us. Please stand up. Please stand up. Our is ranked number 4. And then our football program, football staff, please stand up. We're ranked number 3 in the nation currently. I know Coach Twait will do his diligence in thanking them all, but specifically with football, to have an 11 o'clock game and still have the commitment to make sure to show and represent tonight, we appreciate their efforts and everything that they do for our student athletes. So before I bring up Coach Twait, I just wanted to make a note here. For those of you who don't know, Coach Twait has had his battle with cancer this past year, and we had the wonderful opportunity, Tom Beneke and I, to go over and visit Coach Twait during his treatments. And he had 7 weeks, I believe it was 7 weeks over in Iowa City, 4 out of the 5 days per week. And when I was talking with Coach Twait, I said, you know, Coach, is there anything that's really stuck out to you this? And Coach Twait said, you know, Doc, I've never spent so much time with my wife. It's been great. I mean, we've spent so much quality of time. I'm starting to tear up. I mean, it's emotional. That's great. I said, well, so Kathy, you know, what do you have? Kathy looks at me. He needs to go back to work. So, but on all serious note, we've all been rooting and praying for Coach Twait, and as we bring him up, let's give him a big round of applause.
I didn't have a lot of get up and go and piss and vinegar in August, but I tell you what, I got a little drive now. I'm feeling better every day, so I can't wait, you know. Excited about this thing. The first gentleman that we're going to honor in the Athletic Hall of Fame is just an outstanding basketball player, Terrell Parks. To say that our men's basketball program improved substantially when Terrell Parks arrived on campus here in August of 2009 would be a vast understatement. The Beloit, Wisconsin native had an immediate impact upon his arrival. Terrell led Iowa Central to a 46-19 record over his 2 seasons as a Triton. He was a driving force that put us in the conference tournament championship game both his freshman and sophomore years while wearing the navy and white. We will review some of his stats and school records a bit later, but the most important opinions when evaluating someone's career come from the opposing coaches. Here is what the competition thought of Terrell Parks. He was voted first team All-Region both his freshman and sophomore year, and earned first team All-American as a sophomore. Let's break this first team All-American honor down a little bit and do some math. There were 157 schools in 2011 that played NJCAA Division II men's college basketball. There are 5 starters on each team. My Emmitsburg math says, therefore, there were 785 men that started for their NJCAA men's basketball teams. 785. They only picked 5 first-team All-Americans in the country, okay? And Terrell was one of them. Wow, that's quite a deal. It really is. Quite an accomplishment. Any first-team All-American honor is very, very difficult to obtain. But in the sports of men and women's basketball, with so many teams, and each having 5 starters, to be one of the 5 picked as a first-team All-American is truly a fantastic honor. Here's where this Triton men's basketball great stands statistically at Iowa Central. He is 8th all-time in career scoring with 991 points. And I will say this from watching the play. He's one of the most unselfish players I ever saw. If he'd have shot more, he hardly missed. If he'd have shot more, he'd probably be one of our leading scorers in the top 3 or 4. He was 2nd all-time in rebounds in a single game with 22. 1st all-time in shots blocked in a single game with 7. 1st all-time in rebounds in a single season with 420 in one season. 1st all-time in rebounds in a career, 731 of them. 1st all-time in shots blocked in the season with 100. And 1st all-time in shots blocked in a career with 175. There's a lot of people who weren't real fond of going in the paint when that rascal was roaming the paint because they knew the ball was coming right back at them. Current head Triton men's basketball coach Chad Helling, who was an assistant to Coach Dennis Pilcher when Terrell was playing for us, had this to say about Terrell. In my 23 years of coaching at Iowa Central and watching some of the finest community college men's basketball players in the country come through our conference, I have not witnessed a guy dominate like Terrell Parks did. From the offensive end scoring to being an elite passer, opposing teams had to know where he was at all times. On the defensive end, Terrell owned the paint from rebounding to blocking shots. No one worked as hard to rebound and protect the rim as he did. I believe it is safe to say that no one will ever break Terrell Parks' records for career rebounds or blocked shots. 2 words can sum up his 2-year career here at Iowa Central: complete domination. Terrell's 2 fondest memories of Iowa Central as a basketball player were this. This is really pretty cool. Number 1, having the honor to play in the victory that earned head coach Dennis Pilcher his 700th win. It was over in Nebraska, I think he said. That's kind of pretty cool. And number 2, upon completion of his sophomore season, when he found out and learned that he'd been named to the first team National Junior College Athletic Association All-American team. Terrell's favorite non-basketball memory of Iowa Central was just the first-class campus with amazing collegiate atmosphere. Being able to go to a community college that gave you the feeling that you were at a 4-year college or university. Parks graduated with his AA degree in 2011 and continued his career at the Division I level at Western Illinois University. His initial season at Western Illinois found him starting 32 of the 33 games they played and making the Summit League all-newcomer team. As a senior at Macomb, Illinois, Terrell was named first-team all-conference and the Summit League Defensive Player of the Year. He led the Leathernecks to the conference tournament championship game his senior year as well. Terrell graduated from Western Illinois in 2013 and has enjoyed an 11-year professional basketball career, playing overseas in the countries of Poland, Slovenia, Cyprus, Greece, Russia, France, and Israel. I would read the honors that Terrell Parks has received in his decorated professional career, but that would put us all the way past our bedtime. I'm not going to do that to you. Rest assured, he has had a tremendous impact on his teams during his illustrious professional career. Terrell's head coach, who we're pleased to have with us tonight, Coach Pilcher, had this to say about Terrell. Terrell is an excellent community college success story. He came to Iowa Central, got his AA degree in 2 years, and 2 years later obtained his bachelor's degree from Western Illinois University. His excellent attitude and work ethic made him an All-American player, and he still holds numerous Triton men's basketball records. It was a great pleasure to coach a player like Terrell, who uses work ethic and athletic ability to develop into a tremendous player and go on to have an extremely successful basketball career, collegiately and professionally. Let's welcome one of the finest Tritons to ever lace him up on Dennis Pilcher Court. He could put the round thing in the round thing. Hall of Famer Terrell Parks.
You definitely came up with the energy, man. Wow. I just want to say thank you to the Iowa Central community and inducting me into the Hall of Fame. It's definitely an honor. When I first got the call, I was like, what? I didn't know. I was just like, I still don't feel it. It's like, wait a minute. Like, I just, came to work with my heart ahead every day and just wanted to get better. So I want to thank the whole Iowa Central community, thank my family, my mom, my dad, Phyllis, Mike, and most importantly, my girlfriend, Leanne. Coming to Iowa Central was the start of me leaving my family for the first time. And it was tough. It was tough for me. So first off, I have a story about when I first got here. First got to Iowa Central, away from home, and just my family. I missed them so much, and I just wanted to get back home. And a weekend, we were supposed to go down and sell tickets at Iowa State at the football game. And in my mind, as an 18-year-old kid, I'm like, I miss my family. I want to go home. And I'm like, I'm going home. My friends are going home. I'm like, I'm going home. And so I decided to go home. And that Monday came around, and Coach Pilcher was like, well, Terrell, where were you? It's like, I went home, and they made us go out to the new football field, which is amazing, by the way. It used to just be grass out there, and we had to run 2:20s. And he lowered the time for us and was like, you guys better make the time or you're going to run until you make it. So, therefore, I never did that again. So yeah, that was my first, couple weeks here at Iowa Central. But it's definitely an amazing atmosphere, and it's great to be back here. I never thought I'd be back here this long. But it's definitely an amazing feeling and great reason to be back. And then there was another story where I believe for my freshman and sophomore year, Coach Pilcher sat down and talked with me, and he was just like, your ceiling is, the sky's the limit, and you're just going to be as good as you want to be. And I definitely took that pride in that, and I got up and stayed here that summer, and I worked, took some classes, and I worked on my game and got a lot better. And I continue to get better and keep working over the years up until now, as I just retired from basketball. And yeah, it's just a lot, sorry. And none of this would have been possible without Coach Cook, Ron Cook. He's a Fort Dodge guy. And he was in Beloit, Wisconsin, and he was one of our assistant coaches. And he's no longer with us, or he would be here for sure today, smiling and happy for me. Rest in peace, Coach Cook. But he used to always talk about Iowa Central. And, kind of like just being an 18-year-old kid, I'm kind of like, okay. And I, started to get to college. College was looking at me, and I was just kind of like, Iowa Central, Fort Dodge, okay. And then he used to constantly come at me. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, let's go. And we came, and he actually, the first time we came, we stayed at his brother's house. and he talked about his brother and talked about his brother, and so he comes. His brother wasn't there when we first got there, so we're in the basement, and a guy walks in, and we're like, "Oh, okay, Coach Cook, hey, what's up?" And then Coach Cook walks in behind him. We're like, "Wait a minute, you never told us you had a twin brother." So, you know, without Coach Cook, you know, taking his time and his effort to bring us out here, it's an amazing honor. And like they say, you play for the name on the front, and they'll always remember the name on the back. Thank you, guys.
I don't believe that mic needs to be that tall for me, Terrell. Holy cow. Great job. The next fellow doesn't need a lot of introductions. You know, if you've been around Fort Dodge, been around Iowa Central at all, Coach Sandquist, you know, everything he touched turned to gold. Even tropical smoothie, by the way. But what an honor to introduce our next Hall of Famer, Coach Rick Sandquist. It's really special when you can induct someone who was your colleague for many years, your boss for several years, but most importantly, a supportive friend the entire time that we worked together. Let's break this storied Triton career into 3 segments here. Let's start with baseball first. Coach Sandquist was our head baseball coach in the springs of 1987 and 1988. He did this as a part-time stipend job while teaching full-time at Fort Dodge Senior High. That's a difficult task. You're serving 2 masters, it doesn't work out very well. He resigned in the spring of 1988 and taught coach full-time at Fort Dodge Senior High until 1995. Then we got smart here at Iowa Central. We hired Coach Sandquist in the fall of 1995 on a full-time basis. Rick served as our head baseball coach and student activities director. When the college made that move, immediately our baseball fortunes here turned for the better. Under Coach Sandquist's leadership, the next 7 springs found our Triton baseball teams going to the NJCAA World Series 5 times. 7 years, we go to the College World Series 5 times. That's unheard of. And we earned national runners-up on 2 different occasions. It's difficult to get to the national tournament. To do it in 5 times in 7 years is incredible. And it's really, really tough to get to the final game, the national championship game. And coaches' teams did it on 2 occasions. Rick was named NJCAA Baseball Coach of the Year in 1997. In 9 years as skipper of the baseball team, our Triton squad has accumulated 390 victories, an average of 43 wins per season. Incredible. Wow. Rick stepped down from the head baseball job after the 2002 season and focused on his student activities director position here. That changed in the spring of 2005 when he assisted with the softball program. Iowa Central named him head coach of the softball program in the spring of 2006, and he served in that role until 2010. Coach Sandquist made the transition from baseball to softball look effortless. It's amazing that he had so much success in both baseball and softball. Those sports may look similar on the surface, but I tell you what, there's plenty of differences between them. It was a testament to his knowledge, his willingness to learn and adapt, you know, and just the way he does things, his penchant for connecting with student athletes, male and female. This guy can connect with the players that run through a wall for him, whether it's a guy or a gal. He just had that way about him. His 2009 softball squad finished 62-8 and earned a national tournament berth. There'll be quite a bit more about that group of young ladies later on, by the way. Okay. Coach relinquished his head softball coaching duties after the 2010 season to begin as our athletic director in July of 2010. Coach Sandquist served as our athletic director from 2010 until 2015. The itch to get back in the trenches and coach again hit Coach Sandquist, and the opportunity to get back into softball as our head coach and remain as our athletic director surfaced. Now, being the head coach of a sport and being the AD, I mean, almost impossible. Somehow he did it and did it very, very well. From 2016 to 2018, Coach served double duty, doubling as both our athletic director and our head softball coach. Coach Sandquist retired as our AD in 2018, yet remained our head softball coach for both the 2019 and 20 seasons. His 2020 Triton softball squad was 15-4 with a nation-leading 50 home runs in 19 games played. That tremendous squad lost the remainder of the season to COVID as the country basically shut down and all the college students returned to their homes. That certainly would have been a very, very special year for Triton softball. Coach Sandquist had 2 different 5-year stints as our head softball coach. Under his leadership, our softball squads amassed 425 victories, and that's with a shortened season. Think about that, 390 baseball, 425 in the other one on a shortened season. Incredible. Former head Triton baseball coach and now full-time English faculty instructor Rick Peterson had this to say about Rick Sandquist. Coach Sandquist made an impact, winning games in anything that he coached. But his greatest impact is how he developed young men and young women. I was one of those products, as Coach Sandquist was my high school coach, and then I joined his staff as an assistant coach at Iowa Central in the fall of 1997. The players that were on his teams learned how to be disciplined, how to never give in, and strive to be the very best at every task they were given. Great words of praise from a tremendously successful Triton baseball coach who had the pleasure of both playing for Rick Sandquist and coaching with him. Think about this man's longevity and what a pillar of strength he was for our college here at Iowa Central. 10 years head softball coach, 425 W's. 9 years head baseball coach, 390 victories. 8 years as athletic director, successfully guided our entire athletic program to national success each and every year. 15 years as student activities director, enhancing the collegiate experience of all of our students that attended Iowa Central with a variety of shows, performances, and programs he brought in to educate and entertain our Tritons. And some of those performances are just incredible. But more importantly to me, throughout all the victories, forget about all the national tournament stuff, coach of the year, district coach of the year, regional coach, all that stuff, and focus on why was he so successful. In a nutshell, here's why. It was never about him, ever. It was always about his student athletes. He was really good at deflecting praise away from him, and it was all about the players, all about the assistant coaches. He had high expectations, and players worked hard for him. There was expectations. He was demanding, but treated students fairly. He cared about them as people, and he didn't just see them as a student athlete or as a player. He cared about them as a person. He built a culture that his squads and the entire college were proud to be a part of. His teams respected the game. They played fast, but they had fun playing. He had a special knack for getting his players to buy in and believe. Tremendous buy-in from all the teams that he coached, baseball or softball. His ability to connect with his student athletes was evident, and his baseball and softball players would sell out and go the extra mile for him. If you were a parent of a young man, you would want your young man to play baseball for Rick Sandquist. If you were the parent of a young lady, you would want your daughter to play softball for Coach Sandquist. If you were coaching at Iowa Central when he was our athletic director, you were thankful he was sitting in that chair. He was supportive, encouraging, compassionate. He truly wanted what was best for you and your program. He was constantly advocating for you and your program behind the scenes. Without further ado, let's welcome Rick Sandquist into the Iowa Central Triton Athletic Hall of Fame.
I could talk to any team at camp or whatever, which is pretty easy for me, but to look out here at all you guys, man, it's quite an honor to be inducted into Iowa Central Hall of Fame. Iowa Central means everything to me. There's so many people I know here. I respect the heck out of this college and appreciate what it's done for me and my family. Congratulations to all the other inductees. Don Decker, Diane, my daughter Amy flew with Ashley to Canada one time, her first time away from home. I remember her calling from there, a little homesick, but you guys have been amazing for Iowa Central, and we appreciate everything you guys have done for us. Terrell, I think I taught Terrell in class. You are awesome to watch, and the rest of you nominees. Tom Beneke, where are you at, Tom? I didn't talk to Tom yet. Tom Beneke was a peer, coached softball and basketball at the same time, and then he became my boss. And I can't say enough good things about you, Tom, and everything you did for me. So appreciate you. Coach Pilcher was my mentor. okay, awesome to work under, and he got inducted last year, and I couldn't be here last year. I was with my daughter in LA at the business, so I missed that one last year. Kevin Twait took over as AD. I was his boss, and he became my boss. And you can tell, and he's good with words. You're awesome, Coach, but I appreciate everything you've done for the college. Dr. Ulrich, I appreciate everything you do. I wish you had been here a little sooner, but you're a ball of fire, and I love how you talk, and what you've done for this college is very impressive. Paul DeCourcy, who you see, is always behind the shadows of everything. He takes all kinds of pictures and does everything for everybody. He's a good friend of mine, so appreciate you too, Paul. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not very good with technology. Like my 2018 softball, we were down in Florida, and we had a delay in getting back to Iowa because of the weather. So they sat around and taught me how to text, SMH, LOL, TTYL. I had no idea, but those guys sat and taught me. To this day, LOL, my mom, who's 86, still thinks that's loss of love. So it must run in the family. That's a true story. People always ask me, do you miss coaching? Because I did coach a while. And I always say, heck yes, I do. Okay, what I miss most is the relationships with the players, with the coaches, even the umpires, who I got along with for the most part. I miss that. I miss the game. Coaching the game was so fun for me because I love to compete. I love to work with young adults and teach them how to compete and get the most out of them. But that's what I miss. I actually miss the bus trips. Those were fun. I don't miss driving the bus, which I had to do a lot, but I do miss the bus trips and that. But when I retired for good back in 2020 after that COVID year, I was able to spend way more time with my family. I'm very close to my family, which I know a lot of you are too. But I want to introduce them real quick because they mean the world to me. And I'm going to introduce 18 coaches that are here tonight that coached with me too. So my speech is a little bit different because it's not about me. It's about you surrounding yourself with good people. And that's what helps you. And you go to battle and war with your coaches and your players. But first of all, my oldest daughter, Christina, just raise your hand. Husband, Pat, grandson, Cohen, Audrey, and Nolan. Okay, that's Christina. She played volleyball here. Okay, 2000, she graduated from high school. And we're down at the national tournament. Me and my son, Ricky, we drove down, just the two of us with behind the bus, and we had to get back for her graduation. So we get down there, and we play the first game, played a 9 o'clock game, got done at noon. Okay, and I knew I was going to miss the next day's game. So I had Coach Peterson, Coach Ziesman, and Coach Stevens all ready to coach the next day. I was going to be gone. So me and my son hopped in the car, drove 12 hours back, got back at midnight, got into the morning, went to church, came back, mowed the lawn, had Christina, went to graduation. We did Christina's ceremony, okay, her reception. But what I'm getting at is we got rained out that whole next day. So I didn't miss a game. So my wife, along with my daughter Amy and son Ricky, we hopped in a school vehicle and drove all the way down, left at 9 o'clock, pulled right in. I dropped my wife, I think, off at the hotel because we hadn't slept, so she slept. I went and pulled up at 5 minutes to 9. Game started at 9 o'clock and coached. And I didn't miss a game, which is kind of cool. But people ask, how were you going to leave the World Series game to come back home? I would never miss one of my kids' graduation, no matter what. I mean, God, your faith, your family, your friends, but you got to keep things in perspective. So that's my oldest daughter. My second daughter, Ashley. Her husband, Austin. Granddaughter, Layton and Jace. Ashley played volleyball here at Iowa Central, and I kind of traveled the country with her Selfie World business. She's kind of an entrepreneur. Next is my daughter, Amy. Her husband, Eric. Granddaughter, Harper, and little Brecken. Amy actually played softball for me, and I believe a lot of things are meant to be. My daughter Amy had health problems and wasn't able to play in her last 2 years of high school softball. And all of a sudden she thought she wanted to play softball, knew I was coaching, and she came out and played for me 2 years. And she still had some health stuff happen during that time, but I think that was meant to be for me to keep an eye on you. Okay, I think that was meant to be. Okay, fourth one, Ricky, Katie, wife Katie, Avery's somewhere over there, and they just had a baby boy, okay, named Tate 5 days ago on Monday. So congratulations to them. Don Decker, you talked about 2 little ones. I got 9 now, so I don't know. I've got 9 little ones. Yeah, when they leave, it wears you out. It wears you out. Last but not least, my wife Annette, 43 years, going to be 44 pretty soon. I don't think people realize, other than coaches, what coaches' wives go through. I mean, it's a lot. You miss a lot. If you're dedicated to your sport, okay, you miss a lot. And she kept our family going and got kids where they needed to be. And I love you to death. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate you. Now I want to kind of start out with some of the coaches and people that have been a big part of what we've done here at Iowa Central. I'm sorry, 5 to 7 minutes. I'm probably not going to get done in 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, so I'll go a little bit past. But first of all, baseball-wise, Kim Ledley, Kim's over there with his wife Roxanne. He helped me with the little, when my son was 7 years old, all the way up the Fort Dodge Baseball Association. But I invited him out, good friend. Next is Joel Tompkins. Joel was my first recruit for my 87 and 88 team. I got the job August 1st, school started 3 weeks later. Joel was one of the 3. And I was 27 years old. I was a young buck. But Joel came aboard. We ended our fall with 9 players. You know you need 9 to play. Okay, we ended our fall with 9. It was a little bit different. We brought in 6 of the semester. We took over a program that was 2 and 26 the year before. And Joel's team went 20 and 24. The next year we had a little time to recruit. And we went 44 and 10. 3 kids off that team played pro ball. But I wanted to coach college so bad, okay, that I came to Iowa Central to coach for $1,480. That was my first contract. I had to substitute teach, sell sporting goods. My wife worked at Walgreens at night so I could watch the kids. But I came for $1,480. Okay, the next year I think I got like $1,620. Okay, the third year after that I think I got $1,780. But I got out that year because the high school wouldn't let me coach anymore. And Lyle took over and gets an automatic $500 raise on top of that, and they added recruiting onto that. So Lyle got more money than I was going to get my third year. But anyway, back then they never told me financially that I could turn in receipts for meals. I was not naive. Meals, tickets, everything. I didn't have much money. Okay, I paid for everything myself. Every ticket, okay, every meal, whatever I did, I paid for myself. I even drove my own car a lot of places. So that's how bad I wanted to coach college. Things a lot different. My second time around, I learned. So turn in everything, right, Tom? Turn in everything. One story about that, when Joel was coaching in 1988, cell phones weren't existent, okay? I told my wife we were supposed to play Marshalltown, and it was cold. I mean, literally cold. And anybody that's coached with me, I don't care, I want to play. Okay, so I told my wife, if the Marshalltown coach calls, okay, tell him that we already left, okay, because it's just phones, not cell phones. We hadn't left yet, we were out the college getting ready, but I said, tell him we already left, that we're coming, so we got to play. So we got there, I'm not exaggerating, it was probably 26, 28 degrees. We played, we were more mentally tough than them. We kicked their butts 20-2, got back on the bus and headed home. So you just got to be tougher than your opponent. That's what we used to always preach. So that's just a little story back in 1988. But then I got out, had to go where I had a full-time job, and that was the high school. Luckily, Dr. Paxton came to town, and I can't say enough good things about what he did for me. You got to remember your roots and who gave you that chance, and he gave me a chance to come back out. But Kevin Ziesman set up an appointment with Dr. Paxton and said, hey, let's go out there and talk to him about taking over the coaching baseball program. So we actually went out and talked to him, and a week later he hired us. We were actually going to go out as co-coaches because he was a former coach at Iowa Central too, and he helped me at the high school. But we went out and talked to him. A week later we started. That year they were 2-14, dropped the program. They didn't have enough guys. They had 12 players. 4 of them dropped below 12 hours. They dropped their program. So people were using that against us as we were recruiting. Okay, but we went out, we recruited our butts off. Kevin told me to make sure I didn't say this. Again, we didn't have cell phones, We were both in the Fort Dodge Public School System. We were heading over to Nebraska. Coach was looking up, a little embarrassed over there. We were heading over to Nebraska to a state tournament game. We stopped at a phone booth in Denison. We both called in back to our schools, and I never missed. Never sick. He never missed. We both called in sick. Sorry, Dr. Ulrich. But we both called in sick so we could recruit. But Kevin Zeeson was a big part of getting back out to Iowa Central. Probably the neatest moment with him, we took 22 freshmen. That's all we had. There was nobody from the previous year. We had 22 freshmen, and we're over playing Kirkwood to go to the national tournament. We had won our sub-region, went over to Kirkwood to play them. They're ranked number 2 in the nation. We win the first game. Second game, this guy pitched in the major leagues. Wes Overmuller beat us 3-0. We come to game 3, and we had a couple guys hurt. We had a horrible infield, maybe the worst ever. And we had a little bit of talk that wasn't very good, and we still got a shot, but we got to have that vision and dream and everything. Anyway, we went out and beat Kirkwood, number 2 in the nation, 10-9. Last ball hit the mound, went right to our shortstop with a couple runners on, stepped on second base at the game over. And just the feeling, the coaches, holding our coaches back and just watching a dog pile. A dog pile is the neatest thing in baseball and softball. Neil Whitey, Matt Goss were 3 of our members on that team. You talk about that. You listen. We laid our kids down on the ground and played music and had them vision that kind of stuff. But that was probably one of the neatest moments in my coaching career was right there. The next year, the 97 team, Whitey got drafted by the Colorado Rockies, so he wasn't with us, but we were runner-up national champs that year, and that was pretty cool too. Neil's dad, well, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that in a second, Coach. Something a little funny with that. Next, we got Lyle Stevens. Lyle was my assistant in 88, took over the head coach as 89. Then he got out, came back as my assistant from 96. Coach P, I think, was with you forever, wasn't he? They just would do anything for you. One year he sold baseball cards so he could come down on a spring trip. One time he couldn't make the spring trip. We had a blizzard back in Iowa, and Lyle went and shoveled my driveway for my wife. My wife couldn't do it. That's who you surround yourself with is good people, and just good people. Next is Rick Peterson. And Coach Twait alluded to him. Coach Peterson, I did coach his senior year of high school. Then he went out, he actually played for Coach Ziesman. Then when he got done, he'd always stop by our house too whenever he came back from college. My kids loved him. My wife loved him. Just awesome. Had a good relationship. But Coach P came out with 98 to 2002. Did a great job with our infielders, helped us to a lot of success. And then I couldn't have handed the program over to a better person. And Coach P, 14 years? 14 years he was the head coach. I was able, as athletic director, to hand him his 500th win. But Coach, I can't say enough good things about you also. I appreciate everything you did. That's only page 1, guys. I'm sorry, I'll speed it up. No, next I got Neil Adams. Neil, again, played for 2 years, came back, went to Tennessee Tech, came back and helped me coach a year, and then helped with Coach P for a while. But when he was playing for me, his dad came over from Australia. He's one of the kids we brought in this semester, and we kind of laughed about this story. He was looking at DMAC or Iowa Central. DMAC coach would call in the middle of the night, didn't know what time it was over in Australia. Iowa Central coaches, we called when he was awake. So one time Neil says his dad came in his tidy whities, okay, with his phone in his hand, hit you on the head or whatever, hit him on the head, says, here, you talk to this BAS, oh, I almost said I got grandkids here. Okay, you talk to this guy, there's no way you're going there, he doesn't know how to tell time. So that's the story with Neil, and then when his dad came over for a month to watch games, he was over in Ellsworth with us, and I was by myself as a coach. Coach Ziesman taught in the middle school. Coach Boss, he's the head coach of Michigan State now. I gave him his first coaching job, and he was coming back from Michigan after Easter, so I was by myself. But anyway, I'm throwing batting practice without an L screen. If you know what an L screen is, you stand behind this chuck and duck, okay? I didn't have that. That was on the field with Ellsworth pitching. I got a line drive, okay, right at my forehead, okay? Cracked every bone in my forehead. He said if it would have been a quarter of an inch one way, I would have been dead just like that. So it shattered my forehead. My face turned black and blue. His dad drove a school vehicle, okay, from Australia, drove a school vehicle, took me to the hospital. the game started with Travis Bruner, one of our pitchers, coaching third base until Coach Boss got there. So I couldn't see for half an hour. I didn't know what was going on. But I missed a week of games. My face turned black and blue. But that's a memory I don't want to remember. So is Justin Meyer here? Justin Meyer must have not got back, but he was another one that played for me and then came back and coached. As far as memories, and I started with baseball. Okay, just the camaraderie, the getting to know people. And one thing I always said, I always wanted to try to coach the way I wanted my own kids to be coached. And there's a lot of coaches out there that don't do that. It's all about them and the language and just how they treat kids. So I hope players that I've coached can honestly say, okay, that that they learned something. I was hard on them. I was very, very disciplined. I didn't care if you were the best player, the worst player. It didn't matter. 1 through 20, 1 through 30, that did not matter to me. I try to treat everybody the same. I try to make sure I talk to everybody every practice, at least said something, how was your day or whatever. In college, you don't see them during the day very much. Okay, not until practice. So a lot of good memories with the baseball side. Dick, where's Michael Worth at? Michael? Michael's right here. If you don't know him, baseball, softball people, everybody knows him. A couple of years ago, my last year of softball, I gave him an award for his 25 years of commitment to Iowa Central. He shags ball. He worked for basketball teams. Went and got ice. They called him Iceman for a while. Okay, I just call him Diggs. I have no idea why. So I moved it to Diggerooski. I have no idea why. I just call him Diggs. But his name's Michael Worth, and Michael would do anything for it. Chain gang, right, Coach Tway? Is he chain gang for you right now? Umpired the alumni game today out there. But Michael, great job with everything. Okay. Okay. Last, we'll talk a little bit about softball. I won't talk about the 2019 because we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Lindsay Dial, Lindsay's sitting right over here. She helped me get the softball program going in 2006. We got hired in 2005, so she was kind of my right-hand person. Unbelievable recruiter, just good with people. Did a great job with us. Story with her, we're in 06, and we weren't very good, okay, in 06. But we played hard, okay, we competed, we got kids to buy in. Anyway, one weekend we went down to Kirkwood and then to Muscatine, okay, both ranked teams, two of the best teams in the league. We swept all four of them, okay, all 4 games. We get on the bus, this is how naive we were. We got on the bus, I don't know who said it. Hey, coach, we're rated 2. So we're ranked 2. We were actually ranked ourselves and didn't even know it. But that's pretty cool. I mean, just to have a good season. You know, we didn't win nothing very big at the end, but we just competed. And Lindsay actually coached for a couple years, volunteered for a couple years because she went in admissions. And then she went down to Clark High School, her hometown, coached there, won a state title. I loved going and watching her play. A couple of my former players actually helped her coach. And then she went to Indian Hills, took them to national tournaments, and she just got awarded head coach at Drake University. So she's head coach of Drake now, so which is pretty cool. And they actually played Iowa Central this fall, so I got to see former Tritons play, and then I actually got to see Drake. So quite an honor to see you do that. Kevin Lund, Kevin's sitting over there. Kevin was one of my volunteer coaches in 2007, 2008. His daughter Kelsey played for us, and then went and played Division I ball in South Dakota. But Kevin was on almost every game, tons of practice. Volunteer. Volunteer means no money, guys. They do it for the love of the game, and I couldn't do it without these people that I mentioned. Josh Shannon's next. Josh came on as assistant coach 2007, 2010. Handed the program over to Josh in 2011. I felt very comfortable with that. He did a great job. Okay, had some good teams. He actually played baseball for me in 2002 and Coach Peterson in 2003. So it's neat to get a former player back doing that. But was our sports media director, again, head coach. When he got out in 2015, Coach Twait kind of alluded to that. We didn't know what we were going to do softball, so I hired myself to go to coach again. No, Tom Bennige's one to let me come back into coach, and I could not stand other coaches going to their practices, and here I sit in the office. I had to get back in the game. When you left, I was excited to get back. Sorry for you, but you're moving on to bigger and better things, but I was very, very fortunate to get back in. Another coach on that year is Mandy Hawker. Mandy came up from Texas, and she actually flew up just today, or she got in last night. and was our pitching coach and did an unbelievable job with our pitchers. Okay, worked their butts off, just developed them and did an outstanding job with our pitchers, and we're glad to get her back today too. It means a lot. Brian Gleason. Brian was another volunteer, came on in 2010, and then he helped Coach Sandin for a couple of years. Again, he was at tons of practices, tons of games, and really appreciate all the time and effort in that too. Julie Sprunger was a player for me in 2007-8, was a volunteer in 2009-2010. So appreciate Julie, everything you've done. Actually had her daughter run today. She hit twice, and her daughter ran twice and scored 2 runs. She was faster than you, Julie. And my daughter Amy actually helped out in 2010. In 2010 was my last year, and we had 8 coaches in the dugout at tournament time. So talk about surrounding yourself with good people, and a lot of people. We had some good people, made it kind of easy. Then I got out for a few years, AD, got back into it. Paul Hunt came aboard. Okay, Paul Hunt helped me in 2016-17. He's the head coach of Benedictine. Just a tireless recruiter, would do anything for you, loyal as can be. He married Casey. In fact, he took Casey away. Casey played for us in 2008, but not 9, because Paul took her away. Okay, no, Casey's a former player. Megan Walker. Megan came on in 2017, came up from Kansas City. She just flew in from Los Angeles yesterday and made the trip up today, just especially for this, which I really appreciate. Did a fantastic job also with our pitchers. Means a lot to get you back too. Let me just check, make sure I got, okay, on to a couple years. Dale Schnetzer, Dale's over there. Dale was a volunteer coach in 19 and 20, then helped Coach Bo for another year or 2. Consider him a good friend. We go to the casino. I kind of like to go to the casino once in a while. We go to the casino. We went Thursday night a little bit together. We both, I won, you lost, sorry. No, last but not least, Bo Chevin. Bo Chevin was a player for Coach Ziesman. Went and played at Iowa State. Came back as my volunteer coach for 2 years. Then he became my assistant for 3 years. And then again, I handed the program over to him and couldn't have handed it off to a better person, better guy. But he, look out for this year's team. This could be the next team that goes to the national tournament. He's loaded, so no pressure, coach. So, but the softball wise, lot of memories there. The toughest one, which sticks in my head, was the last year. Coach Twade alluded to that. We had a good team. We had some good kids. They're just coming together. We were 15-4, and all of a sudden that stupid COVID hit. And man, you talk about crushing. You know, we're just getting ready to go to Florida, and Coach Twade, you're the one that called me up and says, you guys can't go. They're shutting us down because of this COVID. So to tell your players that, it's kind of hard. Hey, you can't go. Thought we might get the program, maybe get to go again in a week or so, but a week later, all of a sudden, get the word, your program's done. I was at Tropical Smoothie, went out to my car, called the girls down in Florida. Some of them went to Florida still because their families had tickets and all that kind of stuff. They still went on the trip down there and just balled, okay? Just balled. But I guess that was my last year. I got out after that, and now just spending time with my kids and grandkids. They all live close. One lives 2 blocks away, one two houses away, one 4 miles away, and one 25 minutes away. So that's my life, and I love it. But in conclusion, I want to thank Iowa Central again very much for this opportunity. Okay, to coach, I'm very humbled by this award. Sorry that I took too much time, but man, just the people that help you means everything. You got to acknowledge them in this profession. To my coaches that coached with me, I appreciate all your time, your effort, your dedication, your loyalty. I know I was pretty demanding, okay, but I appreciate it, and I can appreciate you all coming tonight. To my players, I learned a lot from you guys, okay? Try to behave here. I learned a lot from you guys. I hope you guys got something from me also, because I learned a lot from you guys. So thanks again, everybody. I appreciate this award, and I love Iowa Central. I love all you guys. Thank you.
Congratulations, Coach. And if anything, I now understand why we have to continually tell Neil Adams, no, you can't wear your whitey tighties around campus. I thought it was an Australian thing. Now I fully understand. Okay, set your clocks. We have a 10-minute warning. We're going to do 10-minute break for the final drinks and final auction, silent auctions. If you see number 391, just move on. It's not worth bidding anymore on it. Okay, best of luck. Final break. 10 minutes. All right, all right, all right. While they are clearing out, let's give the Great Western Dining staff and cooks a phenomenal round of applause. Also, want to thank Michael Payne and Old Boston's for being here for the bar service. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, without further ado, and before we begin here with our last one, I just want to make sure to note the historical significance. And I went in tonight and they were taking a team photo, and I thought it was actually our current team, but it was actually the team that we're going to induct because they look like they could still play. But historically, this is only the second women's team that we have inducted into our Hall of Fame. So this is a phenomenal achievement for this ladies, and it will not be the last. So with that, Coach Quake.
Before we bring Coach Sandquist back up to the microphone to induct the wonderful softball team that he had the pleasure to coach, I'd like to take a moment and recognize our Iowa Central head coaches, assistant coaches, athletic trainers, and eligibility and compliance coordinator that are in attendance tonight. Would you folks please stand? Come on, get up, get up. It's no one in the country does it better than that group. The National Junior College Athletic Association ranks the top men and women's athletic programs in the country. The top 5 men's programs, where you fall in the final national ranking. The top 5 women's program, where do we fall in the final national ranking? In the last 15 years, Iowa Central has been voted #1 in the country for the overall athletic program. In the 3 years we weren't #1, we finished second. And that what a tribute to those guys and gals from the eligibility, compliance, athletic training, head coaches, assistant coaches, just phenomenal job. And better yet, a year ago, 875 of our student athletes achieved a 3.0 or higher GPA. You're considered academic all-region, you have a 3.0 or higher GPA. So it's great to win games, it's great to win championships and get, plaques and medals and trophies. That's all cool stuff. But at the end of the day, it's about balancing some great academics with some great athletics, and no one does it better than that group of young men and women. I appreciate everything they do. The last thing, before we bring Coach up, collegiate coaching is a very rewarding job, but it's very time extensive and demanding. And I want to personally thank the significant others of the coaches and the athletic trainers in compliance and eligibility that allow them to do that job. Because it's a selfish job, college coaching, because basically you're the mom or dad to that guy or gal that's on your team. You are. You have to build that trust, that relationship, and many times it draws away from your own family. And I just want to thank the significant others in the lives of our coaches for being understanding of the time commitment that's required and also being supportive of their efforts, because we couldn't do it without that support back home. So we appreciate that. And to close out, we're going to bring the newly enshrined Hall of Famer back up here to talk about that wonderful 2008-2009 softball team. Coach Sandquist, it's all yours.
Okay, I promise I won't take as much time as I did last time. I apologize for that. I got timed 25 minutes, whoops. Of course, Shannon over there did that. What I was getting at earlier, you know how you give a speech and sometimes you forget what you're going to say. I was going along with the technology thing that I was learning. I got an Apple Watch, I had no idea how to run the whole thing. But when I'm sitting there, I got a note that said my heart rate got above 120, so I looked at my phone, it was 144, so I was kind of worked up, kind of nervous to talk and everything. So I was going to say, if there's any doctors or nurses here, if you see me pass out up here, come help. Okay, here we go. Put my glasses on now. It's my pleasure to introduce our last inductees of this evening. I had the privilege to coach this team along with 4 coaches over there, Lindsay, Josh, Mandy, and Julie. I finished an eye-popping 62-8 with a 5th place finish at the national tournament. It's the team of 2009 that is here this evening. It didn't take long for the 2009 season to take shape. With 16 freshmen and only 4 sophomores, we had some big question marks to answer as well as shoes to fill. The 2017 finished 1 game shy of qualifying for the national tournament, getting beat by a score of 2-0, and the 2018 was just as good as they finished with a record of 52-10. But the questions were answered quickly as Iowa Central rattled off a 20-game win streak to start the season. After a long trip to Florida, we stopped back in Branson to play in a tournament, finally lost a game to Division I Jefferson 7-6. I remember that loss well, as I got a one-hopper coaching third base, broke my arm. I guess I spun around, passed out, eventually came to, but I had to have a couple parents take me to the hospital afterward, broke my arm, couldn't hit fungos, nothing for a couple months, and that was kind of hard. But after that loss, we came back to Iowa, got on another 18-game win streak. After only receiving votes to be ranked in the NJCA preseason poll, Iowa Central shot to number 2 in the nation in the regular season's first release of the rankings. The only down point in the season was right after we got ranked, we had a three-game losing streak. The girls finished the season on a 16-2 run and took the number 2 seed into the regional tournament. The tournament started with a 3-2 victory over Iowa Lakes, followed by beating Nyack 6-1. Iowa Lakes then in the losers bracket had to beat top seeded Kirkwood twice in the losers bracket to face a rematch with the Lady Tritons. They did beat them twice, and then they would have to beat us 2 games. They actually jumped ahead 3-0 to start the game, but then we ended up scoring 6 unanswered runs to receive their first ever regional championship. Next up was the newly formed district championship, where they faced a North Platte team that was hitting well over 400 as a team coming in. Iowa Central had some jitters. The first game of calmly won it then. First game 3-1. Second game they routed them 9-1 to advance to the NJCA national tournament for the first time ever. Now, we talked about dog piles earlier, okay? We had to wait around there because we had to call the commissioner to see, hey, is the 8-run rule, is the mercy rule in effect? Okay, so we sat around for 5 to 10 minutes, okay? So I'm gonna go back to the regional championship game. These girls, okay, they did a dog pile. We didn't talk about doing it then, but they did, and I was perfectly fine with it, is to go to the national tournament. Okay, so they did a dog pile then. But in this little 5 to 10 minute break, I think they got together and talked about how they were going to do their dog pile. And they actually had the best formed dog pile I've ever seen in my life. We have a picture on the program. Okay, they talked about who's on the bottom, who's on the middle, and then I got a couple of little slappers right on the very top. That's their picture right there. Okay, so seriously, the best dog pile I've ever seen. So we got to the national tournament, okay, it held in Bloomington, Illinois. Game 1, they came out ready. We mercy ruled Illinois Central 13-1. Game 2 was big. We played Heartland Community College, who ended up being the national champions. They beat us 1-0. Okay, unbelievable game. Brittany Martin hit a ball in the 4th inning. Their center fielder came out of nowhere, dove and caught it. That ball would have rolled the fence. We would have scored. Brittany would have had at least a double or a triple. Had some momentum, but they ended up beating us 1-0. So we got put in the losers bracket. We beat Macomb, Michigan 5-3. All of a sudden, all day rain. Okay, so then they decided to play the rest of the tournament in one day. We would have to win 5 games to win a national title. I mean, it's just stupid if you think about it. That's what was going to have to be done because they had to finish it in one day because people had their plane tickets, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so that last day we beat Mississippi Gulf Coast 9-5. Then we lost to Kankakee 7-5 to end our season, finished up 5th, which was, we had higher aspirations, but you talk about a heck of a year, that was it. The 13 team records kept, 2009 broke 10 of them. Wins 62, winning percentage 885. They had a team ERA of 1.61. Anybody knows baseball, softball, pretty amazing. 676 hits, 511 runs, 122 doubles, 273 stolen bases. We could fly. We played fast. Christina Bradley had the most wins ever, 23. Nicole Dana had 200 Ks record, 1.37 ERA herself. Brittany Martin had 78 RBIs, 212 at-bats, 10 sacrifices. Ashley Willard, 72 stolen bases, beat the previous mark set the year before, 52 by Sam Waters. Then we had a girl break the hit by pitch record that's not here, Maddie Sellers. 13 of these Tritons received All-Region. Brittany Martin was named Co-Offensive Player of the Year, NJCA Second Team All-American, First Team NFCA. The 4 sophomores of Brittany Carlson, Kit Doherty, Hannah Jones, and Ashley Nelson finished 114 and 18 in 2 years. The 16 freshmen, after going 62 and 8 there the next year, they ended up for their 2 years, they went 117 and 18. And that next year, they were 1 game away from going to the national tournament again. Okay, we had to fight our way through the losers bracket. We had some pitching injuries, kind of ran out of gas, got beat 6-5. But what a 2-year run for those guys. This group of girls did well in the classroom. They were academic team of the year. We always preach the academic part, which was huge, and they did awesome in that regard. 7 of those girls that were on that team went on to coach, 3 of them in college, and we still have 1. Steph Graziani is coaching Division II, head coach down in North Carolina at Pembroke. These girls, they played hard, they feared no one. They're pretty confident, okay? They were a pleasure to coach, expected to win every time they stepped on the field. We played the alumni game today. We played alumni versus alumni. So we had the 2019, 14 years later. These gals were 33, 34 years old. They're old, okay? They played, there's probably 25, 28 other girls, okay? The rest of the alumni, and who do you think won? These gals, as old as they are, okay? They won 24-8 today. So it was amazing. They just crushed it. I mean, first 2 balls hit over their head. It just never stopped. So I think they knew they were going to win. I mean, every time they stepped on the field. So here to accept the award, there's 3 of our players that are going to come up and talk, okay? And then they'll introduce everybody too. But with Brittany Martin, Steph Graziani, and Christina Bradley, I use the maiden names. I don't know their married names. Would you 3 come on up here? Of our 20 girls, 16 of them are here today, which is pretty cool. But we had 2, every girl was from Iowa, okay, except for 2. Laura Reese and Steph Graziani, found them in Las Vegas, okay. Laura from California, Pennsylvania. No, I wasn't out there just to gamble, okay. I saw them out there. They came out with all these other Iowa girls. So it's kind of a tribute to them. And I couldn't be more proud, okay, to get these gals into the 2023 Hall of Fame.
Not as tall as you guys. All right, I am Brittany Byer. Most of you guys know me in this room as B-Mart. Can I have the 2008 and 2009 softball team please stand up? I am honored to be standing up here tonight with these amazing women by my side to speak on behalf of the 2008 and 2009 Iowa Central softball team. Thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for this wonderful honor. Wow, can you guys believe it's been 15 years since we've stepped on this campus and started this crazy journey called life? Who would have thought that 20 girls, 3 coaches, the love of the game, would have brought us back here in this very room? If I'm not mistaken, I was texting Coach this past week, and we are currently sitting on the softball field where records were broken, dog piles occurred, memories took place, and a family was built. I want to share a few memories that will forever hold a special place in my heart and make me laugh and smile. The time when Coach was seeing red. He left 2 minutes early and half of our team was still off the bus. Everyone was looking at each other, was like, who's gonna say something to Coach? I'm pretty sure I was on the phone with Laura, and she's like, are you gonna stop the bus? Cloud packed every girl with their ball bags in the car, scrambling to catch the bus. We were all pitching in for that speeding ticket, Cloud. Coach asked why no one said anything. It was because we were all scared, Coach. Another memory of mine when we were playing the University of Missouri, and Coach came out to the circle and told all of us girls, get a little P&V in ya. Once he walked away, we all looked at each other and said, what in the world is he talking about? Don't worry, we found out later that week it meant piss and vinegar. This team was and is very special, not just because we hold amazing records. It's because I truly haven't seen a team have the connection that we have, play the game the way we played the game. Talk about leaving it all on the field. There was never a game someone's jersey wasn't covered in dirt or grass stains. We worked our tails off in the off season. In the weight room, running the stairs, running the parking ramp, doing P90X, hitting in the softball connection, you name it, we were doing it. We had a passion for the game, drive, determination, grit, to do whatever it took to win the last game. Our destination was Bloomington, and we made it there. Although it wasn't the outcome we wanted, we put a fight up and had one heck of a season, going 62-8 and placing 5th in the World Series. But most of all, this team was built by one man, the true reason we are here tonight. The man that made us want to be the best player in this nation. And I'm sorry if I get emotional. Having a kid, you get emotional real fast. He turned every average ball player into a great ball player that would run through a wall for him. Coach Sandquist, because of you, we are honored tonight. You believed in us when we didn't believe in ourselves. You pushed us out of our comfort zone. You taught us not only about the game we love, but about life and how life may sometimes knock you down, but how you can come back fighting. You taught us what a family truly is. No matter the distance, time, differences, your family will always be there for you. Because of you, we trusted the process and did incredible things as a team that no other team has done here at Iowa Central. Thank you, Coach, for the best 2 years, and thank you to the teammates. You will always hold a special place in my heart.
Oh, man. Coach, you went to Vegas. You said you didn't gamble, but you took a gamble on me. You took a gamble on Laura, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. Definitely wouldn't be here today with this fine group of people if you didn't take a chance on me. So thank you very much for that. I'm the PA kid, so, came out to Iowa, had no idea what I was about to get myself into, and came out here with no idea, no clue about the Midwest, and left with a family. I couldn't have done it without these fine young women. The support, you took me in, it made me feel like home here, and just coming back to Iowa, it still feels like home, and I'll always cherish our memories that we've had. But I just want to thank Coach Sandquist for the lessons that he's taught us. I didn't really understand what the details and that it takes in a program until now that I'm a head coach myself. So every lesson that you've taught, even if we didn't want to learn it then, it meant something greater. And for some of us, we learned a lesson in our freshman year very quickly. I won't mention any names, but the lesson came a little quicker than we wanted to. Thank you for teaching us the details. I understand that, you know, we are young, stubborn women who are determined, and we're like, we're going to win every game, and there's nothing that can stop us. And I understand you probably had to rein us in a few times. But I appreciate your leadership. I wouldn't be where I am today in the coaching world without it, and I hope one day I can be half a coach that you were for us, because your leadership was unmatched. I know I don't have much time, but there's a lot of memories that we share, and I have a hard time finding my place on my phone, so let me find it real quick. Technology coach, right? But I will always cherish the countless of hours that we had, and the bus rides, even though the one time they got stuck in the sand, including our hotel stays. We would put a towel on the door so it wouldn't slam. It was one of Coach's pet peeves. Don't slam the door, so we all put towels in there so we wouldn't make noise. All of our food stops, CC's Pizza, yeah, whoop whoop. We walked into CC's Pizza like we owned the place. We were like, start the brownies, it's time, we're here. And just playing the games, you know, I truly understood what a real farm smelled like moving out here. So thank you for that. And you know, I would kill for just to have one more moment on the field with everybody, for Coach to give me the fall down play so that I could miss it and then steal the base and then do the fall down play when it really wasn't relevant, but I wanted to make up for where I lacked. But just being a coach, like I said, I'd give anything for one more inning, one more at bat with this team, because it was unmatched. I try to teach the culture that Coach has taught us day in and day out in my program. It's something that it's made me who I am today. It's made me learn that the details are important. It is important to make sure you push your chairs in when you leave, and you thank who's ever helped you around you, and that when you do put good people around you, good things will happen, and that's exactly what happened in this group here. So thank you, Coach Sandquist, for gambling on this team and leading us to greatness. We appreciate you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Smith, and I'm a graduate, a proud graduate and member of the 2008-2009 Iowa Central softball team. When I think about my time here at Iowa Central, the word that resonates with me is impact. Impact defined as the effect or influence of one person, thing, or action on another. My journey at Iowa Central was profoundly impactful, from the victories, and we definitely had a lot of them, to the defeats, the rigorous practices, the conditioning, the friendships formed during team bonding, the endless bus rides, and of course, my personal favorite, the biggest dog pile celebration. I also remember sitting in the front row of classes, hearing the comment, "You must be on the softball team." Yes, that was a rule that you bought in. We were in the front row of classes, and you bet the coaches walked by to make sure the softball team was in the front row. But that's just a testament to how important academics are. You're a student first, athlete second. With professors who went above and beyond to ensure we didn't fall behind in our studies while we were on the road in accommodating our softball schedule. I will forever be grateful for the lessons I learned from both our triumphs and tribulations during my time on this team. Winning was undeniably enjoyable, but what truly mattered to Coach Sandquist and his staff was the kind of people we were becoming during our time here, and how we would impact the world beyond softball. Coach Sandquist instilled qualities like grit, passion, determination, and character in each of us, both as athletes and individuals. He believed in us, both as individuals and as a team, even before we set foot on the field together. His influence has touched my life in countless ways, and I'll forever cherish the impact he's had on me during my time at Iowa Central. Congratulations are also in order for my former teammates and the other inductees this evening. What an incredible achievement. And to the GOAT himself, Coach Sandquist, I'd like to extend a heartfelt congratulations. You truly deserve this recognition. You weren't good at first. Thank you to the committee this evening for this wonderful night. It was beyond special and incredible. And thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate this special moment with all of us. Iowa Central will always hold a special place in my heart. I am proud to be part of such an extraordinary community. Here's to the enduring impact of our time here and the bright futures we all continue to shape. Thank you.
I have 4 children, and 3 of them are girls who play softball, and I can just tell you if they are half of the women that we see tonight on this team, they'll be doing really, really well. So let's give our softball team one more big round of applause. One last group that I want to recognize, if you are a current faculty, staff member, administrator for Iowa Central, could you please stand up? Let's give these folks a big round of applause. On behalf of our Board of Trustees, our faculty, our staff, and our nearly 6,000 students that Iowa Central currently serves, I want to thank you for being a part of our special evening tonight. Our purpose is very, very simple. We want students to come to Iowa Central, finish their degrees and their certifications in the shortest amount of time possible with the least amount of student loan debt so they can go on and have a better life. And tonight is really about celebrating those better lives that Iowa Central has been a small part of. We couldn't be more prouder of our alumni and our alumni network. Traveling across not only this state, but this country, I can tell you, when I'm wearing my Iowa Central gear, rarely, if ever, am I somewhere who somebody doesn't come up and say, hey, that's my hometown. I went to Iowa Central. My neighbor, somebody is connected to Iowa Central. In fact, part of Mr. Flanagan's crew, when I came back from Vegas this Thursday, was 2 rows behind me on the airplane. So it doesn't happen by accident. We take great pride in the quality of education that we provide our students. But what I can tell you is that it doesn't happen on accident. It doesn't happen without community and alumni support, and it doesn't happen without the best and the brightest faculty and staff. Thank you for being a part of tonight. Have a wonderful weekend. Congratulations to the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones. Have a great weekend, everyone. Oh, Mary Ludd would kill me if I didn't mention this. If you are winning enough to win the auction, go to ladies where the first base used to be in the boardroom behind us. Please pay in the boardroom for your winnings this evening. Enjoy your night.
Let's go follow Tweedledee and Tweedledum.